Hi, Rick. So I started to write this email for you, and there was so much I wanted to say. I didn't know where to begin. I decided to create this video to talk you through the thoughts that I have about your ceiling at Denver Heights. So, what I have open on my screen now is your second floor ceiling, and these red lines are the trusses. These are the bottom chords of the trusses, so you can see the pattern that they create above the 7'6" ceiling. And this is why we didn't create a different style of ceiling, why we didn't, at one point we tried to coffer it and finish it off, and you're left with such small little squares, and the weight of all of the framing and all of the drywall would have had to have been suspended from the roof structure, which is the older part of the building. And I'm just trying to avoid suspending anything heavy, or at least keep it as light as possible so that it didn't need extra stabilization from the structural engineer. So we've gone through the pictures and we've found all of the cross trusses and where they lie. We don't know this area here. Preschool C1 is not visible. This is that apartment area where the gentleman is usually up there. We could maybe assume that there might be a cross beam coming across at each of these columns, but that's really all I would know at this point. Is there's probably something up there, but I'm not sure if it has the diagonal braces or not. So we've left that one just open. We don't want to put something there we don't know that it's there. So me and my team were brainstorming about different ways we could address this and give you a higher volume. Okay, so you had mentioned the idea of raising the ceiling and letting the trusses extend beyond the ceiling. And so I had Susan take an image of the gym, a photograph, and artificially implant a ceiling a few feet above, or we don't really know, we didn't measure it, 2 or 3 feet above. And this is the graphic that she came up with. And I think it explains to you why I don't recommend that we do this. So this is the gym ceiling. This is looking towards the apartment. So it's kind of, I'm standing here in the building and I'm looking towards the other side of the gym where the restrooms are. So she put in an artificial ceiling above so that you could see the truss layout that you're left over with. You can see these diagonal braces that are these red X's here. You can see the perpendicular bracing that are these boxes here. If we did this out of drywall, every single location would have to be worked around, and there would have to be a gasket put in place or a gap in the drywall put in place, because the drywall framing is going to move differently than the steel truss framing as far as expansion and contraction and settlement. And if we don't put a little gap, like a little gap or a grommet or some flexible sealant right in there, you're going to end up with cracks in your ceiling. Also keep in mind that this image does not account for the different classroom configurations either. This is the whole open building. So when you're looking at, say, this middle classroom, which would be the closest view, these X's would be here. So there would probably be a wall along here blocking part of these X's. And then the truss grid would occur. And then right around here would be the end of the classroom again. So you would see there's not a clear rhythm or pattern. It's not a pretty truss structure that would really be emphasized by being visible partially. I was brainstorming on ways we could eliminate the whole attic and give you visibility of the trusses, but not have a general contractor have to work drywall around all of these junctures where the truss would touch the drywall ceiling. What I came up with what is, let's see, I found some pictures. Finding pictures on the internet is my hidden talent, you could say. I always find inspiration pictures because they're worth 1,000 words. So I started thinking about it would be great if there was a way for us to float some ceiling grids in your classrooms at a high level and then have your trusses, let's take this for example, have your trusses still extend down, but now there's no connection between the ceiling panels and the trusses themselves. So if you could imagine your trusses extending down from here and having white clouds of acoustic ceiling tile above. Your clouds, as you'll see, I've shown it in an image, I'll show you in a minute, your clouds will be bigger. It would be the standard 2x2 grid that's in the rest of the classrooms, not this perforated pegboard looking stuff. And it would have the light fixtures in it. I would not put the light fixtures on the outside of the cloud except where necessary. I would put the regular diffusers and light fixtures within the clouds themselves. Another thing I found over here with these, not the funky lights, but I wanted to point out, you had mentioned noise and worry about noise. These are an image of acoustic ceiling tiles and how you can see they're just hung down by wire and levitated in the ceiling. I've got these in my office. I don't use them in my office. I have samples of these in my office. They're very bright colors. You can get them in squares. You can get them custom designed into shapes, and you can hang those down as well and create even a decorative accent with them. Maybe not quite so large as this, but you can do something cute with them, like with a bold color or a primrose-ish color. To designate a certain area that is getting too noisy later on if you still have noise reverberation in your classrooms after the construction crew has come and gone. So I started exploring how we would make this work on your second floor only with that volume of space. So the red is still here, little pointer. The red is still here. This shows you where your trusses are in relation to the rest of your classrooms. I'm suggesting that we build platforms over your restrooms to hold the air conditioning units on. I'm pointing to each room that I think each air conditioner would service. You might be able to put one here and do both classrooms. I'm going to leave that up to engineers to tell me that, but I'm just going with worst case that each room would need their own. And what we could do is all of this white area we could leave open to the structure. Those same trusses, the steel trusses, would hang down, but now they're not connected to that drywall assembly, and we're not worried about any movement happening. And then these yellow tiles would be clouds of ceiling tiles in your classrooms. Now they would not be yellow. It was easier for me to work with it knowing the yellow squares were ceiling tiles. And I'm showing where a typical light fixture placement would go so that we could get most of our lights in these ceiling tiles along with diffusers. Drop some ceiling tiles into here and into here in the hallway, and just let the rest of it be open. So what we're really doing is we're doing a partial open and a partial ceiling tiled. And along with the noise question that you had, I also bolded these walls in a solid black to show you that I would propose that these walls go all the way to your roof deck structure. So your hallway would be blocked off from your classrooms. Your stairs are going to have to go all the way to structure anyway because they're fire rated. Your elevator will go all the way to structure because it's fire rated. So just using one wall of each restroom and the shared doorway wall between each of these classrooms to create some sound barrier. So each classroom's noise is contained within that classroom, and then it's just the air conditioner noise that you have to worry about coming through a little bit. I've got to leave something open for these air conditioners to be accessed. All of this gray would be a ceiling, the brown being the service area that the ACs would sit on, and the gray would just be normal ceiling. I can't really spread these air conditioners out because the head height in this attic is not high enough to allow for AC units to go further out. So really, I'm designating the brown as an area that a person could actually stand and service these air conditioners, which is part of a building code compliance that if they're up there, they have to be able to be serviceable. So I'm going to send you all of these pictures, let you think about it, and run it past Ashley. She can watch the video. You can share this link with anybody and get their feedback. All right, thanks. I'll talk to you soon about it. Bye.